little bit of background, navigating the ocean of practice, spiritual overwhelm. It's a pretty common challenge for Western practitioners, especially to feel as if we are diving or that we are standing before the ocean of practices. Despite our lineage as a very concise and rather pithy practices, each practices we do, we feel not sure how to navigate them even without feeling overwhelmed or submerged. Especially for us, we are busy. Most of you have work, and even we retired, we still have work, and different priorities might be in your life. When these ancient lineage traditions meet the pace of modern Western life, we feel practice fatigue. You know this word? A sense of spiritual overwhelmed can easily set in. So then how to navigate that, how to go about it, that's the kind of part of this journey. I listed up a few things, maybe you can think about it. Does that apply to your life, or how to work with it, or maybe it doesn't work for you. Here's a breakdown, common pitfalls and some practice strategy for working through them. In terms of common pitfalls, first one is the collection trap. Practitioners often feel they must collect everything, every empowerment or practice offered, or treated them like an academic credit rather than deep, singular path. This leads to the mile-wide and inch-deep realizations. You know what I'm talking about. Even in our lineage, in our Dakini's Whisper, they try to take the empowerment in all different kind of lineages and just mentality in terms of, I'm not saying that's wrong at all. Might give you a lot of imprint and for the future or next lives. So that's the kind of trap, collection trap. When a teacher came to Tibet, he said, you guys practice all these different practices, all different idans, but even you don't accomplish one. But for us in Indian, we practice only one, then we accomplish everything. So that's the kind of idea. Tibetan culture is like that. Then second trap, pitfall, is obligation burden. There is a tendency to view daily commitment, samaya, as a heavy to-do list. Do you know that one? When the list becomes too long, okay, the practice becomes mechanical and loses its juice and loses its transformative heart. That's the second one, obligation burden. Then third pitfall is the conceptual complexity. Western students often approach Vajrayana with a highly intellectual lens, and also with the expectation, I have to understand everything before I do or something. Yeah, quite an intellectual approach, conceptual approach. Then we burn out, trying to figure out for example, iconography or philosophy before resting in the experience, or even before diving into the practice. This mental labor contributes significantly to the feeling of being overwhelmed. Those are three so far: the collection trap, the obligation burden, and the conceptual complexity. Then fourth pitfalls could be lifestyle friction, attempting to mirror the schedule of a spiritual, like a monastic, while living in a householder. So you have this struggle, your lifestyle, householder's life, like we all live a householder's life with jobs, families, and also now adding up all the digital distractions and additional distractions create a constant sense of not doing enough, not spiritual enough or something like that. Yeah, so these are just a few pitfalls we can think of. Then how to work with those overwhelms. And let's see, I listed the 5. First one, maybe you can tell how to work with overwhelm. I'm sure you are doing that, some of these strategies. Prioritization. Yeah, prioritize the foundation. What's important? If I cannot do all the practice, then what's the minimum? What's the most important? What's the Dakini Whisper emphasizing, offering right now at this point? For example, Mondo preliminary practices currently ongoing, and the 3 principal aspects of the path. At least these are not the beginner's level in a sense. People think this is a beginner's practice, but this is not the beginner's practice to rush through. They are the bedrock. If the foundation is stable, the complexity of all the idans and the protector practice and all these things become much more rich and manageable, right? And also makes you feel better if we really cover those 3 principal of aspects of the path every day, even 10 minutes. That's all what you need actually if you don't have time. 10 minutes focusing on Gondo and the 3 principal aspects of the path, then you can start adding other things. This is called the sun and the ray, sun, sunshine, sun and ray approach as well. We are encouraged to view our main practice, often Idan practice or the Guru Yoga. Idan practice is a Guru Yoga, but those people who do not have a Idan yet, then Guru Yoga as a sun, main practice, and then other practice are like rays. So focusing on 80% of energy on a primary practice, like a Idan practice or Guru Yoga. Then view additional practice, like a specific deities, in the past, if you receive the empowerment, Tomanamo, Magic Lapton, or the other practices, the different flavors of 5 Dakini practices. There's a very powerful rays, expressions of the same core essence. If we have 80% of the main practice, then all the ray, naturally you feel like you want to taste the different flavors. It comes. This prevents the mind from compartmentalizing, you can say. This is a different boom, 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 different. No, this is a one practice, but different flavors. That gives you feels freedom from the heavy tasks or separations, Everything become one seamless, one journey. So that's another thing. So first one is prioritization of the foundation. Then second strategy is the sun and ray approach from the main 80% primary practice, and the rest of that, the beautiful flavors, expression of the core essence. Then third strategy is the qualities over quantity. It's not about how many minutes sit on the cushion. It's about the qualities. Perhaps sometimes often more effective to do 10 minutes of the practice with full presence and heart connection than 60 minutes, 90 minutes of reciting words, get it done kind of approach of, for example, Idan practice, while mind is wandering. The focus on the vital point, important point of the practice, I thought Dakini Whisper was offering those kind of what's important, what's core, what's vital point. So those things are something we can really learn through our community or through our sharing or exploration, and the importance of motivations and the key visualization. Right, for example, even Vajra Yogini practice, what's important, boom, 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 boom. Some I went over many times. If we cannot do whole long sadhana, then what's the key point? What's those 3 transformation of 3 bodies and so forth? Then finally resting afterward. This kind of dance between the appearance and emptiness. This non-dual awareness, resting in the non-dual awareness, resting in the emptiness, and the dance of the form, appearance, formless and form, those things. Anyway, so the third strategy is quality over quantity. Then fourth strategy could be the integration. So that is always in Dakini Whisper, we've been talking about how to integrate the practice into daily life. Of course, we need to see the practice doesn't end on the cushion. Everything should be practice in action. For example, turning daily chore into offerings, in speech, viewing sound as mantra, in mind, recognizing the clarity of awareness during busy work days. So like that. So then we started losing this kind of sharp edge or sharp boundaries between the temple or spiritual practice and what we do in the worldly, mundane things. Those boundaries become sin. And a feeling of being overwhelmed by a formal schedule often started to dissipate. That's the number 4, integration into daily life. Then fifth would be the dialogue like this. We need to really share our doubt, our experience, yeah, but kind of things. Each of us come with a good intention, devotion, deep devotion, but also it doesn't work sometimes like that. And then we struggle ourselves and then completely abandon spiritual practice or something like. I see so many in the past. I don't want you guys to be one of those. You have a karmic connection and each of you have a potential to awaken and trust and devotion, and I can see your sincerity. So we need to dialogue. We need to honestly speak up with me, with your colleague, your fellow travelers about your capacity and experience. Yeah, something like that. What do you think? Anything? Anything you kind of familiar with? I had many times Kandora, yeah, but still, or something. Of course, I didn't touch anything about the Western psychology aspect. This guilt, perfectionistic idea, or this idealist, and this and that. But
I think it's very worth talking about the Western psychology aspect of how we deal with perfectionism and how we deal with connecting to these practices.
Bring everything onto the one path journey, that's the important one lineage. That's why I wanted to show recently everything is related, connected to one river or the one path, to one trail to the mountains, then everything. Then people just only looking at those branches then started to feel overwhelmed. If we consider everything is meant for this journey going into, then I don't know. I started to have my training in shamisen teachers, one by one, like a tutor, what you call the apprenticeship. Yes, anyway, traditional way of learning things. That's how I learned from my Tibetan teacher initially. So at that time, I felt so much blessing. Kind of same thing he repeated again and again, right? Ear whispered lineage. So I had to really pay attention to that. Something to do with this ear whispered oral traditions, which still preserved in Japan, like any kind of path, tea ceremony, as well as shamisen, learning, one by one. Whole hours doing the same thing again. She's so patient, new music. But then I motivated to learn something. Every time I visit her, then she teaches me a new music, repeating again and again. Then eventually, a little bit easier than I learned. Oh, I forgot about this feeling of blessing. Directly hear from my teacher's way of doing instead of just learning from the, audio or videos on YouTube or something like that. Never, ever learn like that. This is a blessing. Even, AI kind of world right now, modern world. But this kind of thing become more precious. Directly learning from the teachers, the blessing, something. So that's quickening my learning as well. When I come back and I practice myself, something completely different. So then I felt, this is called a blessing. Inspiring strength, something I cannot see, but I can feel it. Anyway, so I remember my Tibetan teachers' experience.